Welcome to Module I. We're finally done with Pinehurst, which is a great thing. Everybody should know, having come to school here at Sand Hills, a little bit about Donald Ross. But any of you Yankees or Northeasterners or even California people, the Pennsylvania school is going to come very much into play in the future of golf. And even anybody that's a fan of Forest Creek or works at Forest Creek, the Pennsylvania school, Forest Creek comes out of the Pennsylvania school. So this video is going to be broken into two parts. Once we get to Tillinghast, we will stop, and hopefully you'll get some good information on the Northeast and the Pennsylvania School of Design. So here is the famous church pews. This is pretty recently. We just had a U.S. Open at Oakmont last year. It caused all kinds of commotions at the USGA. Actually, the head agronomist left after this tournament, which caused commotions, repercussions even into the pine needles. But you can see an unmowed, beautiful grass, and then over here, red top bent grass. So one of the few places you will see red top bent grass in the church pews. This is all the way at the back of the property, and we'll see what's going on at Oakmont. Oakmont is going to be really associated with our Module A stratagem of the Penal School of Design. 150 men, 24 mules, a year to build. The Phones family, it opened in 1904, so right at the turn of the century in that golden age of golf. It had 8 par 5s, a 560-yard par 6 12-hole. Par, which they called bogey then, was 85. Very few trees and huge rolling greens on this golf course, again at this golden age when the Haskell ball was brought in. So this golf course was designed to be very, very difficult. Here's a picture of Bobby Jones putting on the 9th green. You can see this is the 9th fairway coming up here, and here is the this is the practice putting green. So there's people sitting out on that. So normally the green is in this section, and then the putting green is here. And to this day, this is right in front of the clubhouse, and this is the putting green. So this connects to the 9th green, and it's a massive green, similar in size to the putting green outside Pinehurst Resorts. Henry Clay Founds was the founder of Oakmont. He owned the Cary Furnace Company, which was bought out by Andrew Carnegie and the Carnegie Steel Company. This was the Industrial Revolution in the time when people made really huge sums of money. He routed and designed, tinkered with this golf. Was tinkered with for over 50 years, pretty much by his son. It overlooks the Allegheny River and split by railroad tracks that later become the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and I'll show you that. That factors pretty strongly into the design today. Here's a picture from back by the church pews looking up. You see there's the clubhouse, and this here is the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and it's a pretty classic haha. You could drive by on the Pennsylvania Turnpike and not even know you were there. In order to get the U.S. Open, one of the members paid for this bridge right here to get that in. These guys are weed whacking the broadleaf weeds out of the native areas, wild areas. They go in with the spray hawk and spray them all out with 2,4-D, and then they come back. They don't like the look of the withering plant, so they come through and weed whack after that. This is a place that has 32 employees. Pretty much 28, 29 of them have a turf degree, at least a 10-week turf degree. Lots of students from Rutgers. So this is a hotbed of activity for turf managers. William Founds was the son of Henry Clay. He won the amateur in 1910. From that time on, he tinkered with the golf course. Famous golf course superintendent John, there's an error for you, John E. Loeffler, will be probably on the test. Discussed the changes, they talked about it, walked the golf course, and he wanted the toughest course in the world, so they added drainage ditches and many things to make the golf course difficult. And here's old Emil And this is the furrowed rake. So this was, the bunkers were raked with this so that everybody would be guaranteed a buried lie. And this is, some thought is coming back to using this. Jack Nicklaus actually used something similar to this. They removed every other tooth at Muirfield, and they did use it for the U.S. Amateur at Oakmont, just in the church pews. They were going to use it for the Open, but didn't because of the green controversy and how fast the greens were. Founds coined this term: a shot poorly played should be a shot irrevocably lost. So there he is out there on the church pews, cars going by in the back. He lengthened the holes, he reduced par, he added these ditches, which are just brutal, particularly on the 18th hole. Really short cut greens, 3/33, and which was unheard of at the time, and then the furrowed bunkers. And here is the Scott Walker. Scott's a graduate of our program. He did his internship at Oakmont. Now he's the assistant superintendent at Pine Needles. But you can see these guys are coming up the 18th fairway, and this is a drainage ditch hazard with the fine fescue grown up in it. Very difficult place to find a ball, and that is a shot irrevocably lost in a lot of ways. And this is even where Phil Mickelson was taken out of the championship because he couldn't swing his club through this rough that was so deep. A little bit of history. In 1927, Tommy Armour won the tournament, and he was 13 over par. 1935, Sam Park, 12 over par. Hogan won the second of his third major championships the year of his car crash in 1953. Fat Jack beat Arnie, and then in 2007, Angel Cabrera was 5 over to win the tournament. So, difficult golf course. Something Mark Coons, golf course superintendent, tried to restore the golf club, and actually they have continued with this. They've removed every tree pretty much on the golf course, and at first they started without telling the members. They would go out there in the early morning, remove the tree, grind the stump, put sod over the hole so that nobody knew these trees were being removed. The course was just being opened. But now that the membership has bought into it, and the superintendent now protects that, and it's a much more open, windswept, natural golf course. One of the things they used to help them with this was digital imaging to predict light and show actually how many hours of daylight. And this is something you can do with the digital camera, and there's a company you can pay to do that if you're a superintendent. So you can get help trying to remove trees, and from many different places. The USJ will help you with that. I'll even help you with it. I know how to do that with digital pictures, and it's pretty interesting and fun. And it is pretty dramatic when you remove a tree how much better the turf gets in the spot where the tree used to shade. There's phones on the 18th. Back in his day, you can see there were some small trees in this area. Here is the 18th. Before they did the tree restoration, you can see trees really encroaching, taking away from that look of that hole. And then now today, there are no trees on the hole at all, and it's a much better, much healthier, turf-grassed site. Again, looking across, I thought it was interesting. You could see the crew moves in packs of 2 or 3, and those guys are out there fertilizing while the members are playing. But by removing the trees, you can see 3 or 4 holes at once, so you can really see what's going on. And I think it's a magnificent place to watch a tournament or to play golf. The next architect we're going to talk about is another Pennsylvania rich banker, rose breeder, George C. Thomas. And this is sort of the link to California. Thomas builds a golf course on his family estate, Bloomfield Farms, in 1905. He says, you can have the property only if you let me build this site. I love his socks there. Those are classic. White Marsh Valley is built, and that's the family estate. Thompson's his house becomes the clubhouse, and he builds these very steeply flashed bunkers. So this is one of the things that comes out of that Pennsylvania school. Very small greens, a good balance, many different length holes. So using every club in the bag was something that he professed. He moves to L.A. and does Bel Air Country Club, and you can see these massive mounds at Bel Air. Also does Los Angeles Country Club and Riviera. And Riviera is one we're going to talk about quite a bit from an agronomic standpoint and also from a golf standpoint. So this is how the Pennsylvania school ties to California. Here is Riviera Country Club. Back in the day, you can see not a lot of trees, small trees, but the small trees get big and it actually gets tied in. So Riviera is one of the other clubs that has great problems with trees now. There's one of the drawings. You can see very strategic, many different ways to play these holes that are taken away. If you somehow get trees that are coming out into this area, you force a certain way to play the hole, and that's not how it was designed. You can see now modern Riviera where the trees have really encroached and taken away some of those different lines. This is at the LA Open. Back to the day when it was more open. Interesting agronomically, kikuyu grass, very tight range of temperature for this grass. It pretty much only grows there on the Monterey Peninsula, and it grows like mad. It's a prolific weed. Basically, that's all that'll grow at Riviera. Aggressive stolons, yellow color, difficult, patchy to mow. Will not grow here, but it is. If you get out to California on the Monterey Peninsula, you will definitely deal with this grass. And you can see it has a little bit of a lighter green color. And it's really difficult on reels. They really have to work hard to keep their equipment sharp and mowing right. One of my friends from Michigan State is the superintendent out there, and they really work hard. We have to have extra mechanics and extra reel sharpening to keep this grass mowed. But it is a dense, nice turf. The ball sits up in it. It's a brutal rough. I mean, if you've seen Tiger Woods is in the kikuyu grass, and even he can't swing a club through that grass. You can see the difference here, the trees over 70 years, and old pictures will help as a superintendent to try to get rid of some of these trees, and again, they're moving that direction. So turf won't grow in the shade. And that we're going to stop there for this lecture, and I'll start back up in a little bit.